Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Play It by Ear podcast. I am your host, Joanna, with my co-host, Carrie. We are going to be talking about studying and electives within the context of music school. So let's first talk about studying, shall we, Carrie? I walked into music school not knowing that I would have to study a lot.
Yeah, I would say that goes for me as well.
Yeah. So, I think Carrie and I actually might have had slightly different study habits. So, Carrie, why don't you go first? What were your study habits like? Like, how would you, like a typical week in music school? What did your studying hours look like? How did you study? What would you have done differently now that you look back?
I think that's a loaded question. I probably would have done everything differently looking back. I just remember the first 2 years being very frantic. Like I didn't really have a schedule, I would say. It's more like wake up early in the morning, go to, I think it was theory class.
Yeah, it was
Probably
theory class
first thing in the morning.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not easy on the brain. Yeah, go to early music theory class and then ensembles, rehearsals,
Yep.
lessons, and then whenever I had time in between, I would try and squeeze in as much coursework as I could, or like do readings and things like that too.
Oh my
So
God,
it's just
readings.
whenever I could find time, I would do that. But I remember they were really long days, spanning at least 9 hours, I would say, upwards to maybe 12, 14 hours, because there were days that I wouldn't go to sleep until 2 or 3 a.m.
That sounds
And I
about
remember
right.
staying up to do theory homework.
That sounds about right. I remember pulling regular 12 to 14 hour days.
Yeah.
And that was normal. And I now realize how young we were to be able to do that. Because I can't do that anymore now. I don't know about you,
I
but
still have to.
I can't, not quite the way we did it then, though. I
Yeah,
mean, we were literally like running around like with, like chickens with their heads cut off,
pretty
like
much. It's
it was.
nonstop go, go, go.
Yeah. Something you said made me have a flashback to, our music history courses would give us readings to do, and they weren't necessarily from the textbook, which that threw me off.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was our music history course, like our first and second year music history course, which is kind of your core music history courses. But I do remember a later course that I took in third or fourth year where they would give us readings concerning, was it music history or was it like one of those contemporary theory courses also gave us readings, like articles, essays, stuff like that to read. Because I recall bringing those and trying to read them during rehearsals, like orchestra
Yeah.
rehearsals. Do you remember doing that?
I don't think I did that in undergrad, but I did
Yeah.
do that. I actually do that now.
Yeah.
Like if I have things to do, I bring them to rehearsals
Yeah.
and I do them.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times, the conductor is not working with your section. So
Yeah.
I literally completely forgot about that until now. I forgot. Wow. When you
Trip
said,
down memory lane.
wow, seriously. Because when you said that, you would cram in your coursework whenever you had time, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot, I used to do that in rehearsal. I'm not sure if I should have, but I did.
Well, I mean, we tried to do what we could.
Oh,
Like
man.
I remember this too. I would be so tired. Um, I like sitting in front of my locker doing things like after eating lunch, I'll try and get some work done. But I ended up just curling up and putting my head on my lap and falling asleep.
Yes, me too.
And then there was one morning I was so tired I missed my alarm. and it was for a musicianship class. Those classes happened really early in the morning as well.
Yeah, right. For our listeners, our school called them musicianship courses, but they were actually ear training and sight singing courses.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
just to
clarification.
make it clear. Yeah,
Yep.
so we know what we're talking about, but I do recognize that not everywhere else calls it that. So
It's funny
wow.
that we called it musicianship classes.
I'm not
I guess
sure why they did that.
I think it contributes to your overall musicianship.
I guess, yeah, because maybe they were thinking of it as, oh, this will like round out their understanding of how music works and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I missed the class, and I made my way to school and kind of just popped my head into the professor's office, and he was holding another class. I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. Just join in this one. Okay. Sat down and go, okay, well.
You know what?
Yeah.
I realize now, like, if I was that professor, I would also be like, yo, you are responsible enough to own up to your mistake, and it's an honest mistake. Everyone has the experience of sleeping through an alarm. It's a very normal experience. I think that's so kind.
Yeah, it was. I
Like, that was
appreciated
really kind and understanding, you know? I also would have been like, yeah, just sit in this class. It's the same course. So whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Well, what would you do differently now?
It depends on what the course schedule would be like, I think. I mean, knowing myself, think I more or less will kind of follow the same trajectory, like fitting in work whenever and wherever I can.
Yeah.
But maybe I would just try and sleep earlier. That's the thing that I would probably try and change.
Like you would, I mean, you still have to get the same amount of work done. So would that mean that you would sleep earlier but wake up earlier?
I think we were waking up plenty earlier, right?
Yeah, we were.
Like 7 a.m.
Yeah. Sometimes earlier, depending on like, you know, bus schedule and stuff like that.
Yep.
Oh.
No, I think I would probably sleep the same amount. But just because if you sleep earlier, you're better rested and maybe your brain would function better and you can do things quicker. That would be my hope.
You're right. Because you would spend less time zoning out.
Yeah.
During the day.
Yeah. Or napping in front of your locker.
Yeah, we've all done that.
What would you change?
What would I change? Well, I was a chronic crammer. And I'm not proud of it. And I am not talking about it to brag that I could cram the night before an exam and pass the exam. I'm not actually bragging. I'm being legit here. I should not have done that. And I regret it because when you cram something, it doesn't actually stick in your head. And so that is what I regret from how I studied. I wrote papers like this too. There was one time we had a paper due for music history and I procrastinated so hard that I legit did not start it until around midnight or 1 a.m. the night before, and I finished it at 4 a.m.
Whoa.
It was one of those music history papers that you actually had to do research for. So somehow I found all of my research material via like those online documents, which I'm sure are a lot easier to find nowadays. But back when we were in school, that was really difficult to do. But I somehow was able to do it. And I did it in like 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night because there was just something in me that really didn't want to do it. And I had very little impulse control, which I think I now realize has something to do with the fact that we were quite young at that time. I've recently learned that your brain doesn't actually stop developing, like growing and developing until you're like in your mid 20s, apparently.
Yeah, 25, I think.
25. Yeah. And we were what, like 19, 20 at that time.
First year, 18.
First year we were, yeah, the two of us went in, because our birthdays are later in the year, we were
Yep.
like 17.
17.
Yeah. And so it was like, now that I look back, I'm like, dang, I was a kid. Like, I was a kid, and I'm not surprised that I had really poor impulse control. And my impulse control played out as me being a chronic crammer.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's how I did everything. So there is only one project that I did not cram.
I think I know which one.
Yes, it was the string quartet composition that our professor, Dr. Bob, got us to write. I forget which year it was. Was it third year? Second year?
I think second year.
Okay,
His
second
third
year.
year was atonal theory.
Oh, right. I remember. So this was second year, which would have placed me at about 19, something like that.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah. And so no, poor impulse control, not that I knew. And but his big project was split into multiple little parts. And so, for example, the exposition was one assignment. The development was one assignment. The recap was another assignment. And I believe in total, it totaled out to be 3 or 4 smaller assignments. And what he would do is give us instructions on how to write it. So, you know, you weren't like dropped into the ocean, had no idea what to do, right? He was teaching us concepts of what we needed to put in there. So it was actually very well guided while giving us some creative freedom. And then the key thing was that he would grade it, give it back to us, and be like, hey, by the way, come over to office hours and I'll like correct it for you and tell you why. So I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm taking him up on his offer. So I literally took every single part of the assignment, every little assignment I took to his office hours, and I made him explain everything to me of what was marked down, why it was marked down, what could I learn from it, how I could improve from it. And the key here was that the final project was all the assignments stacked together into one composition. So basically what he was saying was, I will correct your entire final project for you, and you can get like a really high mark at the end, right? So I was
Which
like,
you did, I think, right?
I did. Yeah, I got it like a 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, to me, I felt like I was gaming the system, because I was just like, well, this is like a free, like almost 100% for the final big project, right?
Yeah.
So I went in, did it, you know, as we said, my final grade for the final project was 96%. So my grade for that class ended up being really high as a result. But I realize now, looking back, what Dr. Bob was actually doing was preventing a chronic crammer like myself from cramming. And he actually made me learn. Like, and to this day, that is the only music project I remember because I didn't cram it.
Because it was laid out.
Yeah. Like, think about all the other like research papers we've done for music history courses and stuff like that. I don't remember a single one of them. I have no memory of them.
I remember my year 2 history paper because I got an A on that one.
How did you do that one? How did you go about that one?
So I was going to ask you a question that's related to that. I was going to ask you, like, what was your biggest takeaway from how Dr. Bob structured and laid out the string quartet assignment? Because that relates to how I did my,
It probably is very similar to how you do it. Yeah, because the way that he did it was that he split it up over time, right? So he did one assignment after, I think it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. He gave us like 3 weeks to do it. So he gave us 3 weeks to do it. And then we would basically have like a little break, like a 1 or 2 day break or something like that. And then he would be like, you know, which during those days was when you're supposed to go to him for office hours. And then he would assign the next assignment. So it was definitely split up, where if I had attempted to do this final project by cramming it, which I would have done if he didn't do it this way, I would have only taken probably 4 hours to do it. Whereas I think in total, even though it didn't feel like it, thinking back, I probably spent closer to 16 to 20 hours doing this.
Oh.
Right. But it's spread across a long period of time, but it doesn't feel like a long time because maybe you'll only spend 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there working on it. Right. And that's the biggest thing that I realized that he did without me realizing it, because I've been thinking about this experience for a really long time. For those of you who watch my YouTube channel, I actually made a whole video about me reacting to that composition, because it's actually a very bad composition, but theoretically it's like a 96%. But
theoretically sound,
right? Because just because something is theoretically 96% correct doesn't mean it sounds good. But anyway, but clearly it's stuck in my head, and I've been thinking about it ever since. Like, how come, like, why did I do so well on that project? And why was I never stressed? That's the thing that I remember, was that I was never stressed about this project. It was the only project I ever did in school, like studying wise, that I was not stressed about. And I think it was because he structured it out this way, and he actually built in the studying into his coursework, which I thought was genius. He does. Right?
Yeah.
Genius. That's actually genius, to like basically teach your students how to study properly by how you do, you know, assign the coursework. I thought that was so cool. So that's
highly effective.
Yeah, I know. That's my biggest takeaway, was how to split up your work and only do a little bit at a time, which even now, like, because I feel like, quite honestly, his course was the only course that ever taught me that. So to be completely honest, I still struggle with that now, but like, I know how to do it now though. But if it wasn't for that course, I don't know if I would have known how to do that, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Is that how you did your research paper?
Yeah, that is how I approach larger assignments and research papers, especially because I would spend, I mean, it depends on how long we have for that project. I would spend the beginning, like, few days, I think, or a week doing the research. Or actually, no, not doing the research yet. Just laying out, writing down on paper what my vision is for the project, what I want to cover. And then using those points, I compile the research. And yeah, and then from there, kind of just, I don't really find, when I'm writing, I don't really find that I need to write down the points. I just kind of start writing, and then I have that mental image in my head, and I just go like that. But then I cross-check with my notes and the research every once in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning to break down large projects into smaller, manageable chunks. And then spread them out over time.
Yeah, like I would go far enough to say that, like, especially if you are in music school and you are younger than 25, something to really keep in mind is that even if you don't feel it, looking back, you will realize that your impulse control is actually not that developed. And I would suggest that you need to have some sort of accountability thing. So it's either, if you are the type of person that will always meet a deadline, then you need to give yourself deadlines in your calendar, in your schedule, or whatever you use. Or some people need a study partner. So they need someone to be like, hey, my brother does this, by the way. So my brother will actually grab one of his friends and be like, expect like 2 pages of my writing by tomorrow, right? And his friends will always be like, nah, you can take your time. He's like, no, you're going to get it tomorrow. And so what happens then is that it forces him to have a deadline that can get him going, right? And so that's what he does. And I would actually really suggest that if you are the type of person who absolutely needs someone to be waiting for your work, then you should probably actually get a study buddy that you can say, hey, expect like 2 pages of my research paper to read, please, you know? And I believe that some of my professors in my English courses tried to do this to us. But the only problem that I found with that was that your accountability partner was typically someone that you had never met prior to.
It doesn't really work well.
It doesn't work well with someone you don't know. It really works well with someone who you really trust, though.
Yes.
So, like, find a friend if you are this type of person. Find a friend to read your stuff. Like, that's probably one of the big things that I would have changed too. Like, I would have asked you to be like, can you just read this during lunch or something? Like,
yeah,
you know, like, just for me to feel like that I have someone to be accountable to. I think it's big, especially if you have that head knowledge that your impulse control might not be as good as you think it is, you know, prior to age 25.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea. And also just different study habits as well too. Like some people are visual learners, some people are more audio. Like I know for myself, I like to look at the words and read it like pretty much word for word for it to go into my mind. And something that my husband has tried, he downloads the audio book version of the textbook and he listens to it when he doesn't have time to crack open his textbook, and then afterwards he'll just continue reading where he's left off. So like find different ways and find different little tricks, or I guess tricks to just help you either stay on top of your game or get a little bit ahead of the game. Because sometimes you may never know when something unexpected pops up. Like a gig might come up and you say, oh, okay, I want to play this gig, but then I have a huge paper due. Like, uh-oh.
Yep. I ran into that problem a lot. Yeah. Because it's either you cram for 4 or 5 hours, or you might need to go to sleep like 10 to 20 minutes later than you normally do, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge difference. Knowing that you don't have that much left to do, and then coming back from a gig or coming back from a concert, sure, it might be late at night, but you just squeeze out the last 10 to 20 minutes of work and then you're done, right? It's not a big deal. So music school would have been a lot less stressful if I did it that way.
Oh, there's also one thing that I learned. For me, I know that I cannot concentrate for a long period of time, but I keep the thing at the back of my head knowing what I need to do next, and I think subconsciously I keep planning it out. So the next time when I'm sitting down, I know where I'm headed. I know what I'm going to put down on paper. And
you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah. So I found that to be helpful for myself. And if you're someone who likes to do that too, you can. But make sure you take a break as well.
Yes. So about taking a break, I found out maybe a few years ago now that because I was just sort of reading some random articles online and stuff like that, I found out that apparently the human brain is not really good at concentrating on anything for more than 45 minutes at a time.
Yep. Even for adults.
Yeah. And you actually need like a good 15-minute break before you jump back into whatever you were focusing on. So ideally, you actually do about 45 minutes at a time doing something, and then you take a small break, and then you go back in. You know, but the only thing is I realize now, it's not that I'm blaming impulse control, but or lack of impulse control. But I really do think that had something to do with my chronic cramming and just not being able to focus on something unless I felt like it was an emergency, which of course ups your stress levels, which doesn't help anyone. So, you know, don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Like, I look back now and I'm like, man, there's so many things, like all the things we're talking about now. Like, those are the types of things that I would have told younger Joanna. That like, yo, you can save yourself a lot of grief, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I tried to do everything by writing it in a schedule, but that wasn't enough for me. I realize now I probably should have told you, like, hey, can you look at my assignment? Just look at it. You don't even have to read it. I just have to feel like you're looking at it, you know?
Right. Just hand it off to me. Okay, yeah, you did it. So okay,
yeah,
next.
exactly. You know, like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So let's see. Oh, right. About those breaks and what you do in them. You do need to take breaks, as we said. Now I know what I did.
What did you do?
I mean, what did you do though?
Me?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I am terrible at this, and I am still working on it. Like even on my days off now, I still manage to find some things to do, which my husband has told me I really shouldn't. I should really just try and relax and do nothing sometimes.
My husband too. He's constantly catching me when I'm still doing work-related stuff.
Yeah. So what I should have done, I guess I'll say, is actually slow down, stop, and eat a good meal. So not eat on the fly and eat like crappy food. Sleep more. Sleep earlier.
I feel like our husbands should like talk about what the tendencies of their musician wives.
I think they can write volumes. They can start their own magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Slow down.
Yeah,
eat a good
slow
meal.
down. Slow down, eat. Oh, one thing that I'm still coming to terms with is to recognize that you will never be done with work or with things that you need to do. There will always be something that you will need to do. So if it doesn't get done today, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. As my husband says, that's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I didn't handle it. I knew that I needed to take breaks. And me being the chronic crammer that I was, my breaks weren't true breaks. That's the thing. They were procrastinations. So procrastination sessions are different from breaks. But I would mix the two together, which was not healthy at all. So when you're taking a procrastination break and not like a fully like I have done my studying for 45 minutes or I've done some writing for 45 minutes, I should take a break, watch a funny video on YouTube, or maybe just close my eyes for 15 minutes or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't doing that. I was just straight up avoiding work by being on YouTube for hours at a time. Now, it didn't all go to waste because I eventually became a YouTuber myself. So, like, in a weird way, it didn't all go to waste, but I could have saved myself a lot of stress by not doing it when I should have been studying or doing homework or writing papers, etc. And when you are procrastinating, the burden, like the mental burden of your coursework is constantly there. Whereas if you were to work on your thing earnestly for 45 minutes and then take a break, you know that you have honestly earned that break time, right? And so you're much more mentally light when you are taking that break, which means that you are actually taking a break, right? So all of my breaks were not true breaks. They were all very mentally heavy burdened breaks, in quotes, okay? So it was like constantly being stressed and avoiding the source of the stress by watching YouTube videos.
So would you say your burden was added upon each time you procrastinated?
Yeah.
And you felt like a heavy weight just pushing you down all the time?
Yeah. I went through music school like that.
It's a lot. It's a lot to shoulder.
It is. It is. And it's unnecessary is the thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if I had appointed you as my accountability partner, because that would have been my responsibility to appoint you as my accountability partner, that would have made things a lot better. And it would have possibly helped me avoid my impulse, my low control of my impulse to procrastinate. You know, like I'm just like, man, if I just knew that I could just say, hey, Carrie, can you just like look at my assignment? Like not really read it, but just like have your eyeballs looking at them to make me feel like you're looking at them. Like I just keep thinking to myself, if I had just done that, if I had just spoken up and said, hey, I need help, you know, like I think it was a pride thing too. Like I wanted to kind of do everything on my own and not have help. And I had this silly belief then that I didn't need a study partner, that I was more of a loner. But I was like, a study partner does not have to be studying next to you all the time. That's what I had, this silly concept that a study buddy was someone who's literally studying next to you all the time. And I was like, I can't do that. I would go crazy. And I was like, now I'm like, no, a study buddy is just someone who keeps you accountable, right? So like, I was so silly. Like my thought process about what a study buddy was clearly like kid logic, you know? It's like,
I subscribed to that kid logic as well, because I thought a study buddy was glued to your side.
Yeah, right?
Like, I don't like studying with someone right next to me.
Me neither. But now that I think of it, I'm like, it would have been very nice if I was like, hey, Carrie, this is what I did. Put your eyeballs onto it, please. Like, just look at it.
Pretend look. Yes, you did it.
Yeah.
Good job.
You know, we could like give each other that like endorphin rush, you know, that little like dopamine hit of like, good job. Yeah. You know?
Oh, no.
Which, you know, actually that might legit be a really fun thing for anyone who's listening to do. You can literally give each other a dopamine hit from being like, hey, good job, you know? Like that whole seeking approval thing can actually come from your friends too, you know? Like it doesn't just have to come from how your professor marked your assignment, you know? Yeah.
You're all there to support each other.
Man, we were silly.
We were young. We were teenagers.
We were.
Well, up until we turned 20.
But just turning 20 doesn't magically make you any different from when you were 19, you know?
No.
Yeah. We were kids, man. Like, hate to break it to you, people. You're still a kid if you are taking music school before you turn 25.
Yeah.
But also turning 25 doesn't automatically turn you into an adult either. It is a process. Like it's a slow process.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, for ourselves now, we are 31. We've been adults for supposedly 10 years.
I certainly don't feel that way.
Yeah, there's still so much that we're learning, still so much that we don't know.
Yeah.
So change doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Like you said, we have to recognize that it's a process.
Yeah. And you know, it's you know, especially with everything that has happened in 2020, a lot of people were looking forward to 2021. And my husband was like, guys, just because it's the year turns into 2021, it doesn't mean that 2020's problems went away. Like a lot of people weirdly pin sudden change to a number.
Yeah, I don't get that either. My husband said that too. I was like, what is with all these people who say, oh, once the new year starts, everything's going to go back to normal or be better? It's like, no, things carry over. Yeah,
like it doesn't work like that, you know? And yeah, I find that to be very interesting that we think to ourselves, okay, you're in university, therefore you're an adult. And I'm just like, no, I wasn't.
It takes time.
All right.
Was that also why you were so reluctant, I guess, to declare your minor? Or
Oh, yeah.
accidentally
Yes. So,
declared?
um, yeah, it was basically procrastination and avoidance. So, yeah, I did that a lot. So to put this into context for everyone, I graduated high school with a diploma, the International Baccalaureate High School Diploma Program. Um, and essentially, it's like a accelerated slash honors type of courses where if you provided that you score a high enough mark on the final exams and thus the entire course, you can get the equivalent first year college credits for it. So I did a bunch, and specifically I did get high enough marks, I believe, for math and science to
Wow.
I think I got high enough, but then it actually ended up not mattering because I think I got high enough in English for sure, to waive my like first year English requirement courses. But part of the reason, and I feel like I mentioned this in an earlier episode, part of the reason that I entered music school was because the music school at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada, did not require us to take any math or science courses to complete our degree. So none of our electives had to be science or math. So me being the avoiding, procrastinating person that I was like, well, I'm not taking any math or science. And also because I was just so darn lazy, I noticed that the English buildings were closest to the music buildings than any other course, like any other department, right? So I was like, then I'm only taking English courses. So I only
literally roll across.
You literally could, yeah, like what I'm talking about. Like the Buchanan buildings were like right next to the music building. So that's all I would do. I only took English courses because they were literally the next door building or set of buildings. So I just did that for 2.5 years. And then by the time I got to the middle of my third year, I was, I think, talking to a course advisor about we were kind of, usually you meet with your course advisor approximately sometime in your third year to make sure that everything is lined up for you for the following year so that you can graduate. Right. And during this meeting, she was like, yo, you almost have an English Lit minor. And me being the lazy butt that I was like, I don't want to declare a minor. I actually intended on not having a minor. Because I was just so lazy. I just was so avoiding as much work as possible. Because again, I had the myth that you go into music school and it's not that bad, right? So but she looked at my coursework and she was like, you almost have an English Lit minor. You're literally 2 courses away. And I was like, oh. And she's like, yeah, like if you take these 2 courses and they're available in the summer, if you take it in the summer between 3rd and 4th year, you're golden. Like you can declare your minor now, right? Yep. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did. I was like, okay, I mean, if I'm only 2 courses away, then sure. So we declared a minor for me in English Lit. And then I took those 2 courses. They were very easy, I remember, in the summer because you only had to take 1 course at a time. Yeah, they were very, very easy. And then I just took those 2 courses in the summer, and then Bob's your uncle. I had an English Lit minor. That's the story of how I ended up with an English Lit minor, was all avoiding as much work as possible. It was avoiding as much walking as possible. It was just full on procrastination and avoidance that led me to an English Lit minor, which I don't suggest anyone do, by the way. I really think I lucked out.
Well, if the Buchanan buildings weren't next to the music building, what what electives would you have taken?
Probably visual arts and improv, some sort of acting course.
That building was also right next door.
Yeah, I didn't know that until it was too late.
Okay. Oh, you didn't explore the other
I
side.
didn't explore the
That's
other
why.
side because I didn't want to walk.
That was on route to Chan Center.
Yeah, but I just didn't explore it. I didn't explore it because you know why I knew about the Buchanan buildings? Because of my brother.
Okay.
Because he took English courses too, right, for his degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already familiar with the Buchanan buildings because of my brother. And then I was just like, why do I need to go explore anywhere else? I really should have, though. That's really that's another thing that I would suggest anyone who's listening and is going to music school. Please explore the rest of your campus. Don't be like me.
Yep. I kind of did that and ended up running everywhere because I was actually intimidated by the Buchanan buildings because there was what, A, B, C, D, E?
I don't remember if there was an E.
No, there was. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Like there were a whole bunch of
at
buildings.
least up to D. Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea which was which, so I was like, I'm not stepping foot into the Buchanan lot.
Oh, that's really interesting.
But for me, before, like I mentioned I think in the first or second episode, one of the deals that I struck with my parents in them allowing me to pursue a music degree was to have a minor in something else, something completely unrelated.
Right.
Which now thinking back is actually everything can be related.
Yeah.
So
actually, everything can be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I applied to schools. I applied to uni with the mindset that I would declare a psychology major wherever I went. So I walked into university declaring a music major and a psychology minor as I began school.
Wow.
So, yeah, and unlucky, I guess, for me, the buildings where psychology classes were housed were about a 20-minute walk away from the music building. So I'd be running up and down the streets, and I would even have to leave class early.
Yeah.
To make it in time for rehearsal. But yeah, so now looking back, bicycles existed, scooters existed, roller skates existed.
Yeah, and people totally did that.
Yeah.
Carrie
was dumb. Carrie ran on 2 legs, 2 feet, with my bassoon on my back as well too sometimes. It's like, what was I doing?
Guys, if you're on a big campus, get a scooter, get a skateboard. It totally, it totally changes the game. Like, I also wish that I thought of that too. The weirdest thing was that you saw other people doing it, but for some reason, it seems like neither of us thought that we would.
Nothing clicked.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wheels, they're on wheels. Okay, sure. Feet.
Yeah, it was almost like we didn't even realize that meant that we could do that too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was so silly.
Really dumb. So if you have wheels, make use of them.
Yeah, make use of them.
That way you can take more courses.
And you don't, yeah, and you don't have to leave class early, and you don't have to, you don't have to feel like you're in such a rush. Like, it's worth it, guys.
It is.
Get the skateboard, get the scooter,
Yeah. Because, I mean,
you're right.
4 years may seem like a long time.
Yeah.
But the time's going to fly by. So make use of those 4 years and explore different courses if you have the luxury to.
Yes, explore the other buildings. I cannot stress that enough.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's my biggest regret was not taking any theater courses. So I would have loved to take theater courses. I would have loved to take film courses and filmmaking. Like I was just too butt lazy to even think about doing that. But now looking back, I'm like, I already was interested in that stuff. Why didn't I just go and do courses in it and maybe turn it into a minor, right?
Yep.
That would have been amazing. And I think that would have helped my career right now a lot more too, because a lot of the stuff that I do now is completely self-taught.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Well, it's not the worst way to go, but I mean,
no.
if you have that time to really drill down and learn all the nitty-gritty things, take that chance.
Exactly. Like if you like something, take a course in it. Don't just write it off as just like, oh, you know, I'm just doing this for fun. I won't mix school into it. You know what? Your school days are going to go by so fast. It's for fun anyway. Okay? So you might as well make your school fun.
Yeah. Make learning fun. I mean, think of all the different things you can do after you graduate. It's knowledge that stays with you forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell you guys. I don't remember a single thing from my English lit minor. That's why I feel like I might as well not have taken it. You know? Like, I remember a few kind professors. Do I really remember what we read? Only the most memorable ones. Like, I took a course in fairy tales and stuff like that. Or
Wow.
Yeah. Fairy tales or some sort of, it's like literature that was aimed at children, but is not that childlike, like Alice in Wonderland. You know, that type of thing. So I remember reading Alice in Wonderland. Do I remember what we discussed at all? No. Have no recollection of the discussions. Nothing.
I wanted to take that course actually. I remember because I know we had literature courses that literature electives that we had to fill.
Yeah, we did.
I wanted to take the children's lit course and it was not available or it clashed with I think rehearsals or something like that.
I think I took the children's lit course. It might have been in the summer. Might have been. I don't recall. But maybe.
Okay. I did women's literature. I nearly failed. I am not a literature person.
Lit courses, man. I hate to break it to you guys, but it's really a whole lot of BSing. If you can BS well, which I do recognize that is one of my skills, you'll do fine. But will you remember any of it? Maybe not. So right, exactly. Like that's my regret is like, well, I took all those courses, but I remember nothing from them. Wouldn't it have been better if I had taken like a theater course that was like really interesting and I remembered what I learned about, or like improv, or, you know, how to act, or the history of acting, or
voice control.
Yeah, voice control. Exactly. Right. Like, I think I would have really benefited from like taking a filmmaking course or even history of films and stuff like that. Like, honestly, that I feel like I would have actually remembered that stuff, because that is the kind of stuff that I know that I've been really, really interested in since I was very young, since like before university. So it's like, I'm not actually sure why I didn't think that I could take courses in them. And they clearly were offered at UBC.
Yeah.
So I just never put the two together.
Well, I guess that's why we're telling you now.
Yeah.
Those of you who are watching and listening. Even if you go into university like me, blazingly declaring a major and a minor, don't stop there.
Yeah.
Just continue exploring the courses, because I think that's one of my regrets as well. If I had known or maybe had the time to, I would have taken like early childhood education courses, writing courses, maybe like you said, some film courses as well.
Yeah.
I did a bit of acting in high school, so and I know it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
music therapy.
you would have
Yeah.
loved that. That's so you, you
Which one?
know? Like all the things you just said.
Yeah, well, that's why I have gone back to school-ish ever since graduating
Mm-hmm.
from master's. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, like don't be like us. Explore. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what your school can offer.
Yeah. And
You
you don't
know?
know what you'll find in yourself too.
Yeah. If you're like, if you find yourself interested in something, see if your school offers a course about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what path that could take you on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We didn't do that.
Now we're hoping you will.
Oh, I might as well not have an English lit minor, really. Oh my god.
One
I
day,
don't.
one day it will come in handy.
One day it'll pay off.
Helping your children with
Yeah,
your future
yeah.
children.
Well, um, well, I feel like we should start to wrap up today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's explore some concluding thoughts. I know that I used to think of music school as like the pinnacle of I'm a musician now, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of that thought, that
Right.
that sort of defining I guess status symbol of like I'm a musician now.
Mm-hmm.
And thus I think I used to think of music school as I got here. I'm cool now. And
Right.
that I think is why I fell prey to that chronic cramming syndrome
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I'm already here. Why do I have to work so hard? Right.
Uh-huh.
That's why I didn't explore as much as I could have. Right. All the things that I am telling you guys that I regret not doing in music school, I really think stem from sort of my base thought process about what music school was. So, you know, what I would say to anyone going into music school is that music school is not the end. Music school is a means to an end. It's really just the start of your musical
Mm-hmm.
journey, really. And if you think of it that way, then you will want to explore. Then you will want to, you'll have more motivation to more efficiently split up your work, get it done in a, you know, in a manner that does not induce extra stress on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'll actually have fun in school. And, you know, if you see it more as a learning opportunity and a networking opportunity and a place to explore and to start a journey, I think you will have a much better time.
Nice.
That's my thought. How about you?
I like how your thoughts kind of feed into what I would say, because I don't think I went into music school really thinking that it's going to be sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns and an easy ride all the way.
Mm-hmm.
I went into school thinking that, or actually feeling that I don't know anything. I'm so bad. I'm so terrible at this.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran with the mindset that made me pretty anxious and feel like I
Oh.
want to go, 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 do, and I have to do my best with everything.
Mm.
I think that's part of the reason why I like whenever I had time to do work, I would try and cram it in, try and fit it in. Sleep didn't really matter. Quality
Mm.
of the food that I ate didn't really matter.
Mm.
I wasn't taking the best care of myself.
Mm.
And that's one thing that I would urge those of you who are watching and listening to really prioritize your own health and your well-being first.
Mm-hmm.
Recognize that this is a journey that you're going through,
Mm-hmm.
going on. It's a process,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, like Joanna said, it is just a beginning. It's a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what the end is too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So don't stress out about small things.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
and just maybe try and be more cognizant of the moment. Be in the
Be in the
present.
present.
Yeah. Because you're just beginning.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like, basically, don't run yourself to the ground such that, you know, you're not taking care of yourself. Because without you, what's the point of school, right?
Don't burn out before you've even started.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. Like, it's much more worth it to actually learn, and to enjoy what you're learning.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and if you find that you're not enjoying what you're learning, I think you really need to step back and ask yourself why, right?
Yeah.
As you guys heard me and Carrie describing our whys of why we didn't enjoy some aspects of school, I think you guys can hear that our experiences were actually very different, and we had very different reasons as to why we didn't enjoy some aspects of studying, and, you know, doing our coursework and stuff like that. But yeah, I think everybody's reason is different, and I think it's absolutely worth exploring much earlier than we did why you are doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And how you can improve.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends too.
Yes.
Learn from each other.
Definitely. I kind of wish we talked about this a lot earlier.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think that's a good segue into what's coming up next. So,
So
hint, hint.
I believe that's our next episode,
It
right?
is.
Yes.
It is.
So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned, guys, for our next episode. That will be Opus 1, number 6 on friendships.
A friendship.
Friendships, yes. So that, I think, wraps it up for today. Guys, we thank you so much for listening to us chat about our experiences with music school, and we hope that it helped you guys out. If you guys want to respond, you can email us at Let's Play by Ear podcast. Is it Let's Play? No, it's Let's Play by Ear at gmail.com. Right? Right?
Let's Play by Ear. Let's Play it by Ear .podcast at gmail.com.
Let's Play by Ear .podcast at gmail.com.
There you go.
Again, for our listeners, the correct email is Let's Play it by Ear .podcast at gmail.com.
Yes.
And so seriously, we would love it if you would like to share your experience that kind of goes along with our experiences, or maybe adds to our experiences, adds a different perspective. Please let us know. I think we would love to read what you have to say. And who knows, you might benefit someone in the future by sharing your story. Yeah. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I believe we are at Let's Play by Ear podcasts on all of them. And is there anything else I missed, Carrie?
And we're going to have our website up by the time this episode launches. So feel free to send us a message through that platform as well, too. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So that will be letsplaybyear.com. Yes. Oh my gosh, I feel so official saying that.
Because it is.
Yes. So yeah, guys, thank you again so much for listening. We will see you in the next episode. Until then, take care, and we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye. Bye.